everybody, and welcome to the Hallmarkies podcast. We hope that all of our Hallmarkies are staying safe and healthy out there. Today, we are continuing our Deliver Me a podcast, and I am Jess, and today I have with me Kami.
Hi, guys. Going stir crazy yet?
I am, and I've only been quarantined for one day.
We're missing Casey today. She's still not feeling well, so the postables are praying for you, Casey, and we hope that you feel better soon.
Definitely. I hope we can have you back for our next episode. And so today we're going to talk about the next episode in the series called The Masterpiece. And as its title would suggest, it is about a piece of artwork that comes through the DLO. And so
you don't say.
I know, it's quite the shocker. We're gonna do the letter storyline, and then we're gonna talk about the character storylines separately because there's a lot going on over there. So we're gonna focus on the letter first. But it starts, we see a man addressing the outside of a package, and he's talking with this woman, and we can sense there's some kind of uncertainty or risk about sending this package. Did you have any initial thoughts when you first saw that opening scene, Kami?
I mean, you know what you're watching, so you know that that's the package that's gonna get lost. And they're really, really good at being evasive with what exactly are the circumstances. I could obviously tell that the man and the woman were a couple. Mm-hmm. I couldn't tell if they were married or not, but if you look carefully, there's a little bling flashing from her finger when she takes the package. So yeah, I didn't have any initial thoughts, just a guy addressing a package, and that's obviously the one that's going to get lost.
And get lost it does.
Matter of fact.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, we are in the DLO with the postables, and something gets stuck in the mail chute. And so Norman, being...
Oh my gosh. That is the most hysterical part in the whole episode. The only one way to find out, and he climbs up there like some kind of orangutan, and just up he goes. And he does it like it's nothing.
Yes.
I mean, how many times has Norman done that?
I know, it's funny because you don't see Norman as being particularly athletic.
No.
And then he just goes scaling up that chute to go get the package.
Well, but I mean, he is out of breath, and that whole, it's just, that whole sequence is just so funky, Yeah. It just, he's going up the ladder, he's going up the chute, and Rita's doing the whole, thing. He can take something apart completely and put it back together with almost no extra parts. Aren't there supposed to be no extra parts? Then he comes back down and he's breathing heavy, and he adds that little hi Rita in. I'm just like, okay, you guys are weirdos. Weirdos in the cutest way possible, yes. But you're weirdos.
Just a typical day at the dead letter office.
I'm telling you.
So yes, Norman expertly retrieves the package, and there is a small slit in part of the package, and they are able to retrieve a small envelope out of the slit without actually opening the full package. And the letter is a letter to somebody's dad, and it kind of goes on to say that they haven't seen each other in a while. And that,
can I just point out right here, yes. that chorus saying, open it, see, open it. It's like, easy.
Yes, she's very anxious.
I loved seeing Della Reese in that role, but it also made me very, very sad because I watched a few episodes of Touched by an Angel as a kid, and she was always so feisty, and she was always fiery, and you could tell that there was still a little bit of that in her, but she was very, very slow and very, very deliberate. I mean, it was obvious that it was causing her a great deal of effort to do this role.
Mm-hmm.
And it just made me kind of sad, 'cause,
Yeah.
oh, she just looks so, I don't know even what the term would be. I don't want to say washed up, because that has a horrible connotation.
Yeah.
But she just looked very, very elderly, very elderly.
Yeah. But so yes, we have our letter, and the writer is a son. He's saying, "Oh, I was never the son you wanted me to be." And then we have a flashback as they continue to read the letter, and we see that the son, his name is Danny, and as a child, he always loved art. He loved to draw and things like that. And his father wanted him to work for their auto mechanic business, it seemed like, and kind of take on the family business. And that just clearly was not in line with Danny, the son's, ambitions and what he wanted to do with his life. So that's kind of the story we got going on here. And so Norman, jack of all trades, begins on revealing what some of the outside ink says. I don't know exactly what he was doing to it, but he was trying to make a little more clear because it was all smudged, and eventually is able to get an address. And Shane and Oliver,
he was applying the revealing solution. I can't remember what they call it now. It's got this huge long name, but Norman Dorman's revealing solution or something.
I don't think they don't give it the name in the episode, but I know what you're talking about.
They don't give it the name, otherwise I would remember it. But I'm pretty sure that's what he's doing, is he's applying his kind of his concoction to it. And because he says that he has vamped it up and made it better in later episodes, but I'm pretty sure that's the first appearance of the solution, and I'm gonna kick myself when I realize what the name is.
It's Norman Dorman's something solution. I can't think of it either.
I know there is revealing in there somewhere. I can't remember exactly what it is, and now
Postables, tune in.
Now the Postables are gonna hate us.
Tune in and let us know, because our minds are failing us.
We're not true Postables. We forgot the name of the solution. I'm sorry.
Yes, that is the question you have to answer to become a Postable, is the name of the solution.
That's how you get into the club.
Yeah, it's very important. But yes, so Norman is using his fine solution that we cannot remember, but it does give them the address. And Shane and Oliver go to the house, and nobody's at the door, but they see a neighbor across the street. So they go across the street to talk to that person, and he says that Henry, who is the father, doesn't live there anymore, and now he is renting a room at a tap room and working as a janitor for some place, which is an interesting turn of events. And that he also had cancer, but I would assume that he maybe was in remission at that point, because they didn't say anything specifically
because he's
about
drinking
that.
An awful lot.
Yeah, that too. So he's no longer at that
I would
address.
hope he's in remission if he's drinking that much.
Very, very true. So anyway, they track him to the bar, and the dad is.
And Jess, he's a crossover.
Oh,
Paul McGillion. Yep.
Octardi, let us know what is he in the When Calls the Heart World.
Paul McGillion, who plays Henry in this episode of Signed, Sealed, Delivered, he is in season 2 as the fraudulent pastor. He's a con man who tries to just cheat people out of their money by selling Bibles. And because he has all these Bibles with him, they mistake him for the new pastor. And so
I think I saw that one.
I was about to say, you've seen through season 2, so
I can't like
should
picture him, but I remember the storyline.
Well, he's got gray hair that's combed over, and
It's been a very long time since I saw that, and I think
well,
I was multitasking.
if you can picture him in Signed, Sealed, Delivered, you can picture him in When Calls the Heart. That's all I'm saying.
No, but I can't remember what his character. Like I can't remember the scenes with his character.
I jest.
If I was with you, I'd throw something at you right now.
Oh, well, good thing we're practicing social distancing then.
Oh, of course.
But yeah, he's the fraudulent Pastor Frank Hogan who gets caught in the end when the real Pastor Hogan shows up. So thank heavens that the marriage was legitimate because he was about to marry 2 people. So he was about to marry DeWitt and Mary, and it would have been a very sad and scandalous state of affairs if he had gone through with it.
Yeah, especially for that time.
I know. Oh man, they weren't married. Anyway.
Yes. Anyway, where were we? Yes, the dad does not want the package. So they tell him about the package, and he's pretty adamant that he doesn't want it. We see a flashback of him and Danny having a falling out because Danny finally admits to his dad that he's going to art school. And Kami, how did you feel about this scene in particular, like the dad's reaction and like how they basically broke it off, like no contact after that for his son not wanting to continue the business?
Yeah. This is a very, very tricky situation because I'm a parent and I want what's best for my kids. Now, granted, none of them are old enough to make their own decisions about where to go to college yet. But I want what's best for them. And, the dad, he's trying to do what he thinks is best. He has this business that he has had for a long time, so it can be reliable. And I mean, starving artists, it's a cliche because it's true, and it's hard to make it in the art world, even when you do have a really good amount of talent. And his dad probably knew that. And, he didn't want him to suffer needlessly. And he wanted him to provide, he wanted to be able to provide for him. And he wanted Danny to be able to provide for a family someday, So I totally get that side of it. On the other hand, you can't force somebody to go into a line of work or a business that they don't want to do, because especially when they have strong opinions about it, because you'll be miserable, they'll be miserable, and it might not turn out to be that profitable anyway. Funny thing is, when I was getting ready to graduate college, my mother made a suggestion of what she thought I should do, and she said it pretty adamantly. And I had a couple of ideas, but I was scared. And so I did what my mom thought I should do. I came home and I worked the job that she thought I should do, and it was fun. And I met lots of people that I never would have met otherwise. And so I'm very, very grateful for it. But I do have the what if factor. And it's taken me 10 plus years to realize it, but I do. It comes around eventually, and I do kind of have that what if factor. What what if I had been brave enough to strike out on my own?
Mm-hmm.
What if I had been brave enough to move to a new state and to do what I really felt I wanted to do? And, now we'll never know. And my life is wonderful. My life is fine the way it is. It's just, it's in the back of my brain.
Yeah.
So I can see both sides.
Yeah, I can as well, but I just have a hard time, like, believing that a parent would be willing to completely cut off from their son just because he
Now
chose
that
to
I do not
something.
agree with.
Yeah.
That, no. Under no circumstances would I completely cut off my kids unless, they went completely off the deep end and committed murder and all, that kind of thing. No. But,
Yeah.
going to art school instead of taking over the family business, come on.
Yeah, I think some of
Not
it
a
may have
felony.
been the father's pride. Like, he felt like Danny was like, well, this business isn't good enough for me. I think maybe he had a little bit of that going on.
Oh, totally. Yeah.
But yeah, it's an interesting dynamic because I feel like, especially the older generation would definitely kind of side with the dad on this. I think a lot of, especially, parents or grandparents who grew up in the Great Depression, and it's all about what's that practical job you can have, not something like you said, being the starving artist or the struggling actor, whatever, it may be. So
you look straight at me when you said struggling actor.
hey, when I was 12, I wanted to be an actress too, okay? And my mom told me, she's like, no, you are not going to Hollywood. They'll corrupt you. Like, oh my gosh. So I can relate a little bit. My mom was like terrified that I was going to go to Hollywood when I was 12.
Oh my goodness.
Our practical parents, they do want the best for us, but yes, hopefully never to this extent where your family would cut you off for this kind of decision.
The other thing is, Danny wanted to go to college.
Mm-hmm.
Most parents would kill for their kid to want to get a college education.
Yeah.
With all of the, I have to go off and find myself, and he wanted to go to school for it. He wanted to make it a skill. He didn't just say, I'm going off to New York and I'm going to be an artist.
Mm-hmm.
He wanted to learn how to
Right.
do it effectively and well so that he could make a career out of it.
Mm-hmm.
I think that there needs to be something, there's something to be said for that.
Yeah.
He was trying to do it the right way.
Mm-hmm. So it's definitely an interesting situation. And we do see in that the scene, a flashback of when Sarah, who happens to be Danny's fiance, does call the dad. She calls Henry and says like, hey, we're getting married. Like, this would be a good time for you guys to reconcile. And Danny doesn't want to talk to his dad until he's made it as an artist.
Which is a very, very, very weird sense of ego. Yeah, we were talking about how Danny bruised dad's pride without meaning to. And he's got a bit of an ego thing. I can totally understand wanting to make it, but refusing to talk to your father until you have made it.
Mm-hmm.
Define made it.
Right. It's a bit subjective.
Yeah, is making it selling your first painting? Because I'm pretty sure that he had already done that. He didn't make a name for himself until later. So, what is it? Selling your first painting? Having your own show? What's the definition of made it?
Right.
And, I don't care how upset I get with my mom. I could never go 5 years without talking to her. That's just me personally. And my father has passed on now. And so what I wouldn't give to be able to talk to him again,
mm-hmm.
And we'll talk about that
yes.
later when.
No spoiler alerts.
Honey, people are listening to a recap.
I know.
Like, I'm pretty sure they know what happens.
Yes. Yeah, so the fiance did call dad at one point, and that was the last time Henry, the dad, had heard from either one of them from that moment. And Oliver said something that really struck me. He said, "You took the other's silence as more rejection." And that just really hit.
That.
Because how often do we do that? You know, we don't hear from someone. Maybe they're busy, but we're like, are they really busy? Or they just don't want to answer my text message, or something as simple as that. We do it all the time. We
or maybe
assume,
they missed it, like something got lost in the mail.
Right. Yeah. We assume, we doubt, we question, and we make this assumption that someone has rejected us, and it creates unnecessary hurt time and time again.
Well, and isn't it funny, not funny, haha, but funny, ironic, that we take this classic Hallmark trope, but we put it in the context of a father-son instead of a romantic, instead of a romantic setting, you know?
Yeah.
There's all kinds of misunderstandings out there.
For sure. Especially in Hallmark and hugging.
Oh, especially in Hallmark. I mean, if there had never been any misunderstandings, Signed, Sealed, Delivered wouldn't have a story. Yeah, so.
That's true. Yes, but so dad still does not want the package. So the Postables keep the package, and they decide, okay, let's try to find Danny instead. And so they decide, okay, it's time to open the actual package. And in it is a painting, and it has a woman and a man. They're turned away from the viewer, and they're just kind of like looking out somewhere. There's a lake in the background.
They look like they're cuddling.
Yes, very cozy. And Norman, of course, knows someone whose sister is a curator at an art gallery.
Got a cousin of some kind.
And I love how Shane has to like drag him through it to get to the person.
Come on.
Make the connection, Norman.
Shane is very, very good at dragging. She's very good at dragging it out of people. You know?
Yeah. Yes. So she gets it out of him, and they go to see this curator, and she shows them that inside or within the painting, there's a little hidden signature, because most artists sign their paintings in some way, obviously. But instead of the name they're assuming would be there, which is, I believe, Danny's last name was Barrett?
Yes.
Like that? Barrett? Is that right?
Yeah, Danny Barrett.
It says D.H. Rubrick. And so that's not the name they were thinking. But this person, according to the curator, died 3 years prior in a loft fire. So Shane goes ahead and does a little bit more digging on Danny Barrett and checks obituaries, and it turns out that he also died 3 years prior, and so they make the connection that D.H. Rubrick is in fact Danny Barrett, just using a different name.
And you know, it's really, really interesting how the connection is made, because Shane says, I know what you're thinking, and I'm thinking it too, and I hope we're wrong. And then she gets on the computer and looks him up and finds him immediately. And she said, I looked through all of this, bank statements, you know, telephone records. She looks through everything, but he was so young, I never thought to look through obituaries. And that just, that tore at my heart right there.
Because he was only like 26, 27, I believe. 20. So yeah, that was definitely a tragic ending to Danny's side of the story.
And the curator said that he was so promising, you know, so you find out that Danny really did have talent, and he exploded on the art scene, and he would have been famous.
And that painting was worth a lot. Especially now that he had passed away, because I don't think he had ever sold it, right?
No. That
it was
the
never
original.
like in a gallery or anything like that or whatnot. But yeah, so this leads Shane to do some more digging with her computer as always.
So
And
good at that.
she discovers that Danny, or D.H. Brubrick, often did his paintings in a series of 3 that were connected to tell a story, like past, present, and future. And so she is able to...
Or peanut butter and jelly. No.
No, Norman. not peanut butter and jelly. That does not tell a story.
Oh my goodness.
Innocent Norman.
Norman. We love him.
I like pat him on the head.
I know. They're there.
They're there, Norman. Yes.
That's a really good one. Oh my goodness.
And so Shane discovers that there was a series of paintings that Danny did, and she's able to find them online, the images of the paintings. And the first one is a man standing next to a car holding a young boy's hand, and they're not looking at each other. So this represents his past with his father. And
in different directions, so
not connecting, as we've learned from their story. And the second is a man and a woman who are looking at each other, symbolizing his present with Sarah. And then the third is the one that the postables have, with the man and the woman looking out, and this is symbolizing his future. And what do they find with Norman's magnifying glass that is hiding in that painting in the background? A baby. A little baby. And so they learned that Danny had a child, which makes Henry a grandpa. And so Shane continues to do some research, and she actually finds that Danny's mother's maiden name was actually Rubric, so which kind of makes it understandable why he used that name, and that he and Sarah had a little baby girl. She's able to find that birth certificate, and so of course they have to break the news to Henry that Danny is dead, but they at least have the good news that he is a grandfather. And so
I love how Shane connected the painting as a kind of birth announcement. I thought that was the sweetest line, because it wasn't just, this is going to happen sometime in the future. This was, my wife is pregnant and you're going to be a grandfather.
Yeah.
You know, I thought that was so sweet that Shane connected it that way, that it was that her and we don't know if she had had the baby at that point, but I don't think so, because he died 3 years ago and she looked to be about 2.
Yeah, so
I don't.
It would have been either right when she was born or maybe shortly before.
Yeah, or just that Sarah was pregnant. So, but yeah, just the whole idea of using the painting as a birth announcement was just cute.
Yeah, there's some goals there. Forget all of our 21st century crazy ways to announce a pregnancy.
I know.
A painting.
Man, I thought doing an eviction notice on the crib was clever. Never mind.
Come on, Kami, you got to put it in a painting.
You know what? I'm not going to be having any more kids, so darn it, I lost that opportunity. And besides, I'm not the painter in this podcast. You are.
That's true.
You need to find a man, get married, and get pregnant and paint a picture about it. There you go.
With social distancing, I'll be there right away.
That's your assignment.
All right. Yes, find a man during quarantine. That'll be interesting.
Marry him and, I'll give you a week.
It'll be a good test of a relationship. Can we survive being quarantined together for a week? There's an idea for a new reality show. Quarantine.
Oh gosh, no. Bad idea. Bad idea.
The ultimate test. Ultimate test. But anyway, so Shane is able, after they break the news to Henry, to set up a little meeting via video chat. And so Henry is able to talk to Sarah and see his granddaughter. And, they have a little conversation. All you can really feel is that Sarah is able to express that Danny loved his father. And there was, he had sent the painting. He wanted to reconcile with his father, even though he died before it happened, there at least was that intent to reconcile, to just kind of let go of the past and start over. So it's kind of a hopeful ending to their story, even though Danny is dead, unfortunately.
And the little girl who plays Danielle, that was Kristen Booth's baby.
Yes,
Finley.
That was Finley. Yeah. So there's a little trivia.
So,
that was going to be one of my trivia questions. You already got it.
Ooh.
Look, you're already ahead of the game. Now you're reading my mind. Oh my gosh. Reading the mind. That is the end of our letter story. So we have the very touching ending. And so for our postables, they go through some stuff themselves in this episode. So it starts in the beginning. Oliver is staring at that dreaded Paris box that he cannot let go of. And Shane is talking, I think, to Rita about, like, you'd think after a year and she hasn't made contact, you would get the point that she's not going to send you a letter and you wouldn't check that box every day. So it's kind of sad. Oliver still is, even after it's been a year, just a year at that point.
I think so.
Yeah, that he still checks every day.
I don't know. I don't know if it's been. Yeah,
it's been at least a year. I don't know if it's been more
at least a year. Yeah.
So he's still checking that box every day. And of course, there's still nothing in the box. Holly has not made any contact. But so they kind of talk about that, and then we get into Shane and Oliver have to do a dance routine for like a showcase or something like that for the thing. And Shane picks this really interesting song, and Oliver obviously does not. He hates it.
It has to be real music.
Yes, like a record. And so he put something on that he likes, and Shane's not really feeling that either. So
to say the least,
they're agreeing to disagree on that one. And they go in for their practice, and we meet our friend Ramon for the first time. Yes, he calls him like Abilar and Abelier, and he cannot say Oliver for the life of him. And I love Ramon as Zach Santiago. He's really great as Ramon. I think he's a really fun character.
Hysterical. He is so funny. He's fantastic.
And we continue to see them. If you watch, he continues the entire series. So this is not the last you will see of Ramon.
Hey guys, it's Kami and Ann. With Mother's Day coming very, very quickly and just fast approaching around the corner, what do you get your mother for Mother's Day? I know that it is always a struggle with me. My mom says, hey, I want this for Mother's Day. That kind of ruins the point. So, and we live with my mother currently. And so it's always really hard to try to get her just the perfect gift. What about you, Ann?
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, it's your mom. It's a big and important day. And so it can be a struggle to kind of find the right thing for a mom. Definitely.
Right. So are you looking for the perfect gift for your mom or even another loved one? Well, we've got what you need. Skylight. Nowadays, staying in touch with those we love is so much easier than it used to be.
Yes.
And it's also more important than ever. And the easiest way to do it is with Skylight, a photo frame you can email photos to. How easy is that?
Yeah, that's awesome.
Don't have to have the right software or any of that. Just email the photos anytime from anywhere. It's a great way to feel close. So, and I live with my mom, like I said, but where's your mom?
I live in Nashville, but my parents are in Atlanta, Georgia. So they're not with me. So it would be really easy for me to just email some photos, to the Skylight Frame. I sent it to my mom, and then she could see, what we have going on and be surprised when it comes on the screen there.
Yeah. And The other thing is multiple people, because it's an email address, multiple people can send to this. You don't have to invite people to a group, which is always so annoying. And it sets up effortlessly, listen to this, in under 60 seconds.
Wow.
And then sending it is effortless. Like we said, everyone in your family can just email photos to Mom's Skylight and they'll pop up in her home in seconds. You can preload it with your favorite photos too. And then you can also have the emails. So now, as a special holiday offer, so if you are looking for just that right gift for Mom, you can get $10 off your purchase of a Skylight Frame when you go to skylightframe.com/Hallmark and enter code Hallmark. That's right, $10 off your purchase of a Skylight Frame, which is not a small amount of money. Just go to skylightframe.com/Hallmark and enter code Hallmark. SKYLIGHTFRAME.com/Hallmark. So give a mom a gift she'll enjoy and enjoy yourself.
Yeah, so we have our friend Ramon, and he is very suave with Shane and very much a ladies' man. And he's
beautiful as Shane. It's so funny. I never can get over. I lived in Nicaragua for 3 years, and it is always so funny to me. I still can't get over how they put the E's before the S's. It's just the Shane.
Yeah.
Spent. It's always the E before the S. That is something I still cannot get over. It's so funny.
Yes, so he is charming, the beautiful Shane. And
Shane is weirded out,
She doesn't know what to think of this new character. And to top it off, he tells them that their old instructor, Madam Francesca, lost the studio in a poker game. Like, what? Yeah, I don't think I would bet that much in a poker game.
No.
I don't even think I would bet.
But then again, you're not addicted to gambling, so
Madam Francesca must have had a problem. Yes. But yeah, so they learned that the studio now belongs to Ramon, and he is going to be coaching Shane and Oliver, probably much to Oliver's chagrin.
Yeah.
And so they practice throughout the episode, and at one point during their practice, Oliver is able to relate his experience with his wife to Henry and Danny, and kind of having different dreams for each other and how that can affect your relationship. And so he still feels a lot of guilt about Holly leaving, like he wasn't maybe supporting her dreams or doing enough for her. And so we get a little bit more insight into that side of the relationship as well. And then also throughout the episode, we learn more about Rita's book, and Cora is just enthralled with this book. And
can we just give a complete and total shout out to Crystal and Jeff for dressing up in those costumes and just totally overdoing it in the best way, those scenes where they're reenacting the book.
Yes.
I loved those scenes. They were fabulous.
Yes, we get to see the book come to life a little bit. It's very, very interesting. And Cora loves a book. She thinks it's going to be a bestseller, and she is just plowing through it. She's not doing any work, so I don't know. She's not doing anything else on the clock besides reading.
Not even supervising the whole building. She's just in the DLO.
She's just reading about Renita Hayweather, Frontier Duchess. It's a very exciting story. And as, Cora keeps talking to them about the book throughout, and Rita starts to get really, really nervous that Norman is going to find out that she was writing about him, because Rita did not realize that she was writing about Norman the whole time. And so
I love when
Shane
says, yes, it sounds very familiar, and Rita gives her that look. At
one point too, Cora even tells Norman straight out, "It's about you."
You lucky devil, huh? Poor clueless Norman.
And yeah, and Norman said, well, that's crazy. And so I guess my question to do you think he had absolutely no clue the book was about him?
He's that clueless. It does not surprise me at all. Yeah, because he looks completely baffled. And yeah, and he hasn't read it at this point. So yeah, he hasn't read it. He's only read that tiny little
that she made
he's
him
only
read.
read that tiny little thing that Cora had him read. Yeah. So I would not be the least bit surprised that he had no idea that it was about him at all.
Part of me wondered if he like hoped that it was true, but he just didn't have enough confidence that Rita really felt that way about him. That's what I was kind of wondering as I watched, but I'm not sure.
I guess that's possible, but just, knowing how clueless that man is.
Yeah. So yeah. Let's see what else about that book. I think that might be about as much as we get with the book story itself. And then we have more, of course, Shane and Oliver's story. Shane finds a new song for them.
I was about to say, are we going to the dancing?
We're there. Bring on the tissues again. Shane finds them a new song with the same steps, just different music, and it is Billy Joel's And So It Goes. Kami, tell us how you feel about this scene. Ooh. Can you even put it in words?
Trying. I'm a budding writer. I should be able to. It was wistful. It was very, very wistful. And Oliver did not want it to be wistful. Mm-hmm. It was, you see right. It's very ethereal. I think, almost like they're dreaming. Yeah. They're dancing, but this mood is created around them, and they're all alone in the DLO. So it's just
kind of dark.
So, yeah. So I think that it just kind of takes them away into their own little world for a little bit. And it's the first time that you see a possibility of chemistry. I mean, you probably can tell from the beginning that those two will eventually end up together, but this is the first step. This is where the first step of the chemistry is taken. And, because he dips her, he lifts her up, and there's that oomph moment, where Shane, the shock on Shane's face, oh my goodness, what the?
Yeah, like she's just so in that moment of like, whoa.
She has no idea what she just felt, and it scares the heck out of her, but she wants to keep going because she's the adventurous type. And then Oliver walks out, and she's, left standing there. Poor thing.
I know.
I can understand Oliver's reluctance. He is a married man. On the other hand, that should have been rectified a very long time ago.
Yes. What I love about this whole scene is that it shows you how much you can do with good directing and good acting, because there are no words from the characters. It is literally just music and them dancing, but you literally go through this entire journey with them. And it was so moving that, so we learned last time that I'm not a romantic. I'm also not a crier. It takes a lot for me to cry for a movie. And I don't think I've hardly ever cried for a book. But anyway, but for me, it's very hard to get those tears coming. But after I saw this scene, every time I heard that song after, I would cry.
I know.
And not just cry. Ugly cry.
I know.
Ugly cry.
Anything else?
Because you just, the emotions that, like, your subconscious is like connecting those emotions to that song, and you just feel it. And it's so amazing that no words, but all of that emotion can come with it. And it's just like, whoa. So yeah, I can finally listen to the song and not cry. It took a while.
Oh, I'm glad to hear that. You know,
I know. It's gonna ruin my reputation as not being a crier. And I love there's a part like in the middle where they kind of smile at each other a little bit. And I really love that part too, like right in the middle. Yeah, so we have our almost kiss. At least I thought it was an almost kiss. They were getting there.
I thought it was, you know, in true Oliver fashion, it was step one of an almost kiss. Because Oliver has to go through a process. You know?
It's a pre-almost kiss. It's a pre-almost kiss.
It's a pre-almost kiss. We'll go for that, yeah.
Yes. But yes, there's a lot of emotion there, and then Oliver just kind of cuts it off and abruptly leaves. And like you said, Shane is just standing there like, what just happened? Like, she's just like trying to process it. And the next day they're both super awkward. They almost run into each other and do the little like, oh, okay, trying to get around you. And they're like super awkward.
Doing the little dance, pun intended.
And I love how Norman, being somewhat intuitive but also very clueless, says something's different. And
he has no idea what it is. He just knows that something's different.
Something's just off. And then I think Shane blames it on the fact that Cora's not there, because Cora has decided that she is retiring to write her memoirs, probably inspired by Rita's book to go into the world of writing. So we lose yet another supervisor. They come and go as quickly as the dead letters, it seems.
Well, 2 episodes. We've had 2 episodes.
That's the max. 2 episodes.
Yep, it is.
But yes. So we learn Cora's leaving, and then when they're at, I think, the Mailbox Grill talking to Henry, Oliver kind of announces that we shouldn't do our dance at the showcase, that there's no reason to continue it because he accomplished what he set out to do. And he reveals that he had promised, or Holly had given him like a coupon for lessons.
Yeah.
For dancing lessons, and he had promised that he would do it. And he
was reluctant.
He was reluctant.
It was his reluctance. He thinks
the assuming.
Yeah, he thinks that his reluctance played a part in her leaving, you know, and even if it had, she's a doofus anyway, so
we get to go all into Holly and From Paris with Love, and we get to really dish on
we'll save it for
our
that
true feelings of Holly,
because we've been so kind so far.
Yes, so Holly. But yeah, so and Shane clearly was not expecting that at all. You know, obviously they had the awkwardness because of the dance, the intensity of the dance, but I don't think she saw it coming at all.
No.
She was very taken aback and
absolutely
very upset, even though she doesn't really express her upsetness in this episode at least. But they have this little exchange where he tells her, "You were a wonderful partner," and she's like, "We were good together, weren't we?" And he says, "We were." And it's just like your heart is breaking for them, because you know that Oliver is doing it because he sees what's happening, and being the true gentleman that he is, thinks, I need to distance myself from this before I cross a line.
Well, and you see the calendar.
Yes.
You see the calendar at the end that it was his anniversary. So
yes,
having to deal with all of these feelings on top of missing his wife and wondering what's going on with her.
Feeling the guilt.
And then on top of all of that, it's his anniversary, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So it's just, you know, I don't like the fact that Oliver did what he did, but I can get why he did it.
You mean cutting off the showcase?
Yeah, cutting it off. He's dealing with a lot. He's dealing with a lot. Now, did he make the wrong move? Absolutely. He got her into that. Mm-hmm. He should have seen it through.
Right. Because it was like, what, one more dance at that point? You know, was that really gonna...
It was the next night or that night. You know, I mean, come on, just do the dance. It's a showcase. It's not a date.
Right.
You know, just finish it and be done. But
But
you know,
but
that's
Oliver
me.
is
I'm a
Oliver.
performer. I'm a
Andrew-
performer.
And I think Oliver was probably just very scared by his own emotions in a way too.
Oh,
Like,
yes.
he
That's
doesn't know what to
definitely-
do with it because he wasn't expecting to start, falling for Shane, and clearly he is.
Yeah,
So-
absolutely.
So yeah, we end with him in the DLO looking at the calendar that has an anniversary, and I think they cut to Shane at one point and show her. They both just have this like totally forlorn look on their face, and it's just very sad.
And this doesn't fit. This doesn't fit exactly, but it just goes to show again the amazing ability of Martha. This is one of the only episodes without a happy ending. Danny died.
Yeah.
It's a very bittersweet ending because he gets to meet his daughter-in-law and his granddaughter, and she says, come live with us. So they're going to be reunited. It's wonderful, but Danny's dead. And, after the pilot movie where we thought,
Yeah.
where we thought that Kelly was dead and she wasn't, I thought maybe there was going to be some kind of mistake.
I did too.
And there wasn't. He's dead. And so once again, you have that perfect aligning of moods. Even if you don't realize that's what it is, subconsciously you can feel it.
Mhm.
And you feel Oliver is sad. The storyline is sad. It's another amazing combo right there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I love it. Not that I love that he's dead, but I love that it's a realistic storyline, because sometimes you don't get that reconciliation, unfortunately, with someone before they may pass. And so I like that Martha kept it real and authentic, but also showed that there could be healing from it, even if you've kind of reached that point. Because in normal Hallmark now, we always get the happy ending. Nothing like that is going to happen. And so it was nice to see that presented in a way where you could see some closure, but in a way that maybe wasn't the ideal situation, but it was more realistic of a situation.
That's a really good point. You're right. And if I could just say something very, very quickly about the actress who plays Sarah. I loved her her meshing. I loved her meshing of emotions, that she was obviously not a wreck anymore.
Mm-hmm.
She had moved on. She was able to, Kate Corbett, that's her name.
Yes.
Kate Corbett. And she had moved on a little bit. She was okay. She wasn't breaking out into tears every moment. But she still had that sadness in her voice. She had her bright smile when she was talking to Henry, and she looked so happy to finally get to talk to him and to see him face to face, but you could see the sadness hiding behind her eyes. And that's not easy to do, and to have the smile yet the sadness right behind you.
Yeah.
And she did that really, really well.
Yeah, she said she had a very short part there, but she definitely nailed it. And I love too how she still exuded that compassion, because
yes,
especially with the storyline, I mean, it could be easily written that she was still angry, but she had a lot of mercy in the situation, even though his dad caused Danny a lot of pain for not supporting his dreams. And so again, it's the really complexity of Sign Sealed Deliver. There's a lot going on there.
Martha, and you people acting it out, what are we gonna do with you? You're awesome. Yeah.
Do you have any final thoughts before we move to our trivia?
No, that was my final thought, that,
Okay.
that it wasn't the happy ending episode. That was kind of my final thought, that we get a sad ending, and it's rare, but they still made it bittersweet.
Yeah, it's definitely.
All right,
All
lay it
right.
on me.
You ready?
Lay it on me.
It's got some hard ones in here.
Ooh.
All right, the first one's the hardest, but I will accept a range in the answer. How long is Rita's book? How many pages?
800 plus.
Close. I will count that right. It was 780. So I think that was close enough. Very
Close
nice.
enough. Thank you very much.
And it was a riveting 800 pages. Riveting.
Very, very riveting.
All right, next question. So we saw at the end that
Wait, it seriously isn't 800 pages?
I wrote them 780. Maybe at one point they rounded it and said it's like 800 pages, but I think it was
'cause
Cora.
I could have sworn I heard that.
I think it was Cora who said it was 780.
All right.
Rounding it up though, it's 800.
There you go.
All right, next question. So we saw at the end that it was Holly and Oliver's anniversary.
Yes.
What was the day of the week?
Friday.
Bonus. What was the actual day?
What? I got it right.
You did, but now you have a bonus. If you can guess the actual day.
26.
Oh, you're so close. It was Friday the 24th.
But I got Friday right.
You did. And I have a funny story about that, actually. So if you're listening and you're a Postable, you're a diehard Postable, and you're on Twitter, you probably know that a lot of the Postables gather together every Friday for a rewatch. And it was pretty recently when I had started rewatching with them, and it was a Friday. We happened to be watching this one, and we saw that the cut to the little calendar, and I just happened to look at my little desktop date thing, and it was Friday the 24th on the same day we were watching it. I was like, oh my gosh. So it was a little interesting divine delivery, I guess. You're watching it on Friday the 24th. So burn that into your brain. Friday the 24th. All right, and the last one is a little different, but Kate Corbett, who plays Sarah, is in what other Hallmark series? And bonus if you know who she plays.
Good Witch.
Yes. Do you know who she plays in Good Witch?
No.
She plays Eve, Sam's receptionist at the clinic.
That's it. Yes.
So she is in other Hallmark, and of course Kami already got me the other one about Finley, Kristen's daughter being baby Danielle in here. I know, Kami was just on top of it.
Well.
I know. Anyway, Kami, where can people find you?
You can find me on Instagram and Twitter at Kami Drama Girl, Kami spelled Kami, on Facebook on the Hooked Hardy Facebook page, and my blog is hookedhardy.com.
All right, and you can find me. I actually just updated my Twitter handle today to match my Instagram handle, so it is different from the previous episodes that we've recorded. I am now at Jess BSW blog on both Twitter and Instagram, or you can check out my website, beneathstillwaters.com, and you can find the podcast at Hallmarkies Pod on Twitter and Hallmarkies Podcast on Instagram. All right. Thanks all for listening and or watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.